What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see. When the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host, BKP.
All right, folks, how are you today? I am your host, BKP, and you're watching BKP Politics on voiceofruralamerica.com, voiceofruralamerica.com. I hope everyone is doing well. Let's see what I have here. There we go. So, 1, 2, 3, what are we fighting for? I don't give a damn. Next stop is Vietnam, right? Country Joe McDonald. I promise I won't do that again. I know people are out there like, please do not do that again. But 1, 2, 3, what are we fighting for? You know what? I focus, my primary focus on this program is Georgia. I do keep up with national news. I keep up with world events. But so the Ayatollah, whoever this guy is, he's dead. So his son, that really hates us, he's in charge. Are we going to leave him there? 7, I think, as I come on the air, 7 U.S. military dead. So, what are we fighting for? All right. Enough of that already, right? So I'm your host, BKP. Follow us on Substack, Vora, V-O-R-A, at BKP Politics. voiceofruralamerica.com, voiceofruralamerica.com, X, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook. So maybe by the time you watch this, we will have the results. The results will be in from the 14th district. And I want to start there. We're gonna go back and go over SB 568. Talk about that for a minute. Yes, we're going to talk about the governor's race. One thing that I have a concern is, boxing. Remember, not ultimate fighting where you went in there and you bit the guy's ear off and you slapped him and you kicked him and you did a backflip and whatever all they do, right? But back in the day, we would have these fights. Frazier Ali, for you Chiltons out there, right? Frazier Ali, whatever, Foreman, back in those days, right? And these guys would fight 12, 13 rounds, keep going. And when that bell would ring, they would stagger to the corner. I mean, we all watched Rocky, cut me, right? And they would get back up and stagger to the middle of the ring, try to throw punches till somebody fell down, it was over. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm describing the Republican primary already. I mean, May 19th, we're March, April, May. We've got, wow. I mean, will the Republican primary, will all the candidates be wounded in a way that they can't recover enough by November 3rd, Election Day? Will the candidates have supporters and the pain is just too much to bear that they don't go back and vote? I'm serious. This Rick Jackson, Burt Jones. It's obvious Rick Jackson got in to win. Okay, he did. He got in it to win it. But I'm starting to pick up. Someone's going to say, you're starting? I'm starting to pick up. He doesn't like Burt Jones. And I don't know backstory, or I don't know that individual that can tell me, like, what may be the underlying, but I will say it's something. Anyhow, because he's determined. I mean, Jackson is absolutely determined that Burt Jones will not be, I mean, he's absolutely determined that Burt Jones will not be the nominee for the Republican Party. So let's go to the 14th District. And I want to talk about that because what's going on in the race for governor is, yes, it's very important, but the 14th District tonight, like I said, by the time you watch this and I come on the air, the runoff may be set. So I just want to put out here MTG resigned, and I don't like it. I mean, I really don't like it because the cost incurred with what she has done can be enormous. I'm just going to throw a number out. I have no idea what, but I mean, with a runoff, this election could cost the 14th District a couple $1 million. I mean, every county in the district has to set up all of their precincts, has to run all of their early voting days by law, SB 202, right? All the precincts are set up. Today is election day over in the 14th District. And then they have to go and set everything back up again. They can't close precincts. You can't say, well, I don't anticipate a good turnout. If your county has 14 precincts, they have to set up 14. They cannot suppress the vote. So let me just say what she did by resigning and not completing her term is terrible, and it just was not the right thing to do. Because do you realize today's election day? Now there will be a runoff. We'll get into that. There will be a runoff. I got to use my fingers here. So today's election day, April 7th is the runoff. This is just to fill the term. So whoever wins the runoff April 7th fills the term, I think, until January 3rd, right? When a new Congress is sworn in. That's all this is about today, filling the term. Then you have the April 7th. Then they have to go back for the May primary. All right? Now, several of these candidates, because you can't take them serious. You couldn't go vote for a Republican candidate today if they did not qualify for the May primary. They would be saying to you, well, I'm just going to fill the term and somebody else can have it. So what is there? 9 candidates, we'll just put it like that, Republican candidates that have already qualified for the May 19th primary. They're going to be on the ballot. They've qualified. So you got today, you got the 7th for the runoff, you got May 19th as the primary. That's the third election in this district. There will probably be a runoff then because there's going to be, I'm just going to say 10 candidates. We'll just say that for now, right? There's going to be a runoff then. The runoff will be June 16th, that's 4, right? 4. Then, after that runoff, because Sean Harris will be on the ballot for the Democrat, so he goes to November. No matter what Sean Harris does today, he will end up running in the 14th district all the way to November. That's the Democrat. That should be on the top of the list. Keep this in mind. Then we have the general election, November 3rd. If for some reason there's more Republicans or there's a libertarian or something, just this is where there's a possibility of another runoff December 1st. There's a possibility of 6 from today, counting today, 6 elections to determine who not only fills Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat, but is the next member of Congress in 2027. Wow. Now, so today, if it's on the line, that's where we start today. It's on the line. Because watch what takes place tomorrow. If President Trump, this is Marjorie Taylor Greene, she still has a base over there. So Marjorie Taylor Greene's base, what's left in that district, the 14th, they're not happy with President Trump. Keep that in mind. Just because Marjorie left over there, what did she get? 78% of the vote last time in the election? So, yeah, no, not everybody loves Marjorie any longer. But the ones that do are upset with President Trump. So let's just put that on the whiteboard. Whomever is still on Marjorie's list is upset with President Trump. Could that favor Jim Tully? Could that favor Colton Moore? I tend to think, although Marjorie Taylor Greene has not endorsed Colton Moore in any way whatsoever, but Marjorie Taylor Greene's relationship with Thomas Massie up in Kentucky, I think the Marjorie Taylor Greene vote that's still on board could go to Colton Moore. That's what I think today. We'll see tomorrow. Could it bolster another Republican candidate? Now, Clay Fuller, in my opinion, primarily, not only, but maybe only has the vote that Trump's going to bring out and maybe a little more. And then Colton Moore's base is the strongest of any. So somebody sent me a message from a publication in Atlanta this morning and said, what do you make of today? And I said, well, anyone that comes on the air and tells you, oh, I know exactly how this is going to play out, don't believe them, because with all the candidates in the race and all the variables and it being a jungle primary, no one can tell you. But I can tell you this. Colton Moore's base is the strongest. Can it be the largest? Can he get the most vote? It is the strongest of any voting bloc in that district. And they're coming out to vote. Now, tomorrow morning, nationally, the reason we're talking about this, because if Clay Fuller, and I want to say this, the text messages, whoever they came from, and I'm going to take Colton Moore at his word. I've had phone conversations with Colton Moore. I've had phone conversations with Colton Moore, and I went to a GOP event where he was at one night during this campaign. And as you well know, I've not come on here and put my backing or said this is who the candidate is. I will tell you right now, I like Nikki Lama. I think he's a great young man. I've not said a negative word on any of the candidates. I think the closest I've come is Jim Tully, is something negative. But I've totally stayed away from the race as far as that's concerned. So Colton Moore, some people came out and immediately accused Colton Moore, and Colton put out a statement very clear yesterday that he doesn't care to go after his opponent Clay Fuller on his liberal, left ideology. And I get it, that's fair game. But as far as someone's family, he didn't do it. So we're going to take Colton Moore at his word. I don't think he did it, but some text messages went out in the 14th district, 2 of them. I think they're so disgusting I'm not even putting them on the screen, and they're just the ugliest personal attacks against Clay Fuller. That being said, so tonight, if Sean Harris, all right, right now, this is my prediction. Again, I told you I like some candidates in the race. I like Nicky Lama. I think he's the long shot. I think he has a great political future. He's a great young man. He's from Dalton, just a good person. I don't think tonight it will be his night. But here are the 3 that we think will come out tonight. Now, Sean Harris, the gentleman next to the red tie, Clay Fuller, that's your Democrat. He should come out top vote getter. He should come out tonight as top vote getter. And because, one, he's a Democrat. Democrats are fired up. Even in the 14th district, don't think there's not Democrats in the 14th district. They're fired up. They've won 2 PSC statewide races in Georgia. Okay. They have taken every special election and just gone much further in the vote count against Republicans all across the state of Georgia. They are fired up, and there is some silent backlash on President Trump. I'll give you a minute if you want to throw something at the screen, get mad at me, but you're here because I'm going to deal primarily nothing but the truth. There's backlash against President Trump right now. There's backlash for multiple reasons. Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, no one's been arrested. They don't see the America First agenda quite the way they feel President Trump promised it to them. Now he's in Israel. We were told that we bombed Iran. We bombed Iran and obliterated, or whatever the word was. It was demolished 100%, their nuclear program, and here we are right back because it didn't work the first time. We truly don't know. There's some people upset with President Trump because what's going on in the Middle East also has the face of the warmonger, Lindsey Graham. I mean, these are just things, whether you want to deal with it or not. I didn't come on here today to attack President Trump. But if anyone looks at you today on any podcast, anywhere, it says there's people that are not a little upset with the president right now. Gas prices. President Trump says, gas prices, when asked, it's a small price to pay. For what? For what is a small price to pay? Because the Americans are still paying the COVID small price at the pump and at the grocery store and other places. We're not attacking the president, but small price to pay. Okay? Also, we have 7 Americans dead, okay? Small price to pay. There's some people quietly upset with the President of the United States. Now, people are upset in the 14th that he endorsed Clay Fuller. So here's the 3. Sean Harris, the Democrat, should be the top vote getter tonight. He should be number 1. The Democrats in all the counties in the 14th district should come out, strong numbers, and vote for him. He has also campaigned to Republicans. Republicans that are not on board with Clay Fuller, Republicans that may think that Colton Moore is a fringe candidate or a duplicate of Marjorie Taylor Greene, and they've seen that movie before, whatever. But he has campaigned to Republicans. He has run a campaign in the 14th district that doesn't look Democrat on the face, could fool some. There's been signs that were put out, Republicans for Sean Harris. So he hasn't run this far left agenda, and as Democrats are running with what they call now centrist. That is the word. That is the buzz, centrist. So Sean Harris should come out top vote getter. Now, that leaves Clay Fuller and Colton Moore. If Clay Fuller wins tonight, the second slot, the biggest question will be, obviously tomorrow, President Trump will brag about his endorsement and pulling Clay Fuller over the top and how great it is that President Trump did this. And Clay Fuller will then have to run against Sean Harris in a runoff on April 7th. But the big question will be, okay, because we know right here, here's President Trump's endorsement of Clay Fuller, all right, full and complete endorsement of Clay Fuller. So the question will be, who will come back? Because we know at the end of the night, it's not over. I mean, it would be a miracle in elections if this thing ended tonight, and it's certainly not going to end if the miracle came through on the Republican side. Won't do it. Jim Tully will get vote. Nikki Reagan-Box will get some votes. Nikki Lama will get some votes. The other candidates, so on down the line. So who will come back for the runoff? This is a special election. The runoff is a special election. Those are tough. Turnout even dwindles then. So Sean Harris' vote will come back. Will Sean Harris get any protest vote from the Republicans that are upset their candidate didn't make it in the runoff? We don't know that. That's a variable. But Sean Harris's voters will come back. So whatever the number he has tonight is pretty much going to look like the number we're going to have to beat April 7th. But here's the thing. On the Republican side, if Colton Moore comes back, because Colton Moore is a strong personality, really is. He's a strong personality. He's an acquired taste for some. Moderates in the Republican Party, left-leaning Republicans. I know you don't like that, but that's what they call themselves. Never Trumpers, whatever it may be. Will they come back? Will they get behind? Will Clay Fuller, if Trump loses tonight, not Clay Fuller, Trump loses tonight, will Clay Fuller come out and say, I give my full support to Colton Moore? These are all possibilities, variables in tonight. Will Trump, if he loses, Clayton Moore lose, get on the bandwagon and help push Colton Moore over for Sean Harris and get voters back? If Clay Fuller is the nominee, will it sting? If he is the second, will it sting a little too much for Colton Moore voters after feeling betrayed by President Trump to go back and help push Clay Fuller over Sean Harris? Because I will tell you where they're at in the 14th. This is a sad state of affairs to say this as a Republican especially in the 14th district, one of the most strongest voting districts, red districts in the United States of America. Sean Harris, what would he hurt? Is he that dangerous? That is a very concerning thought that some have where Sean Harris is concerned, that he may have broke over with the, it doesn't matter if you vote for Fuller or Sean Harris. Just saying. Now, if you vote for Sean Harris and he wins as the Democrat, there's one more thing I want to put out here. A lot of people are not going to like what they're hearing right now, but it's all out there. If Sean Harris wins the 14th, and I'm talking all the way through, and Democrats take back the House, the 14th would have a representative in the majority. If a Republican wins, and I do think a Republican will win, I don't think Sean Harris is going to win this district, but if a Republican wins and Democrats take the House, the Republican will be serving in the minority. Now, to finalize this whole scenario of what's going on tonight is national implications. So I get up this morning, I watch CNN, I watch MS Now, I watch Morning Joe, I watch Ali Vitale, I watch CNN. I know, don't throw tomatoes at the screen. But they are salivating that tonight's race in the 14th, Morning Joe, they spent a lot of time on this. And they are salivating that tonight's race in the 14th, hold on here. What happened to my pictures? Sorry about that. There it is. That Trump could lose tonight. Exactly. Because Clay Fuller does not come in that second spot. Basically, President Trump loses. Marjorie Taylor Greene wins. It's the biggest signal yet. Thomas Massie, although he's in a primary in Kentucky, but overall, he would have a win here. And I'm going to tell you, I keep saying this because I know people don't want to hear it. You actually have Republican representatives in D.C. with that private calendar like they're in jail, and every day they put an X on the calendar. Republicans in D.C. on the House side, the Senate side, State House in Georgia, State House, they cannot wait to sigh a relief that Trump is gone. That they no longer have to care 1 second what Donald Trump thinks. Now, what day that'll be, I don't know. But if Clay Fuller loses tonight, the value of the Trump endorsement, especially in Georgia with Burt Jones. So all eyes are on the 14th district tonight. We shall see. I think Republicans will pull this district out. I will not be shocked if Colton Moore is not the second one on the ballot after tonight. I won't be shocked. But jungle primary, don't trust anybody that says they know. All right, let's go into one more because I got to cut it short today. I got a meeting tonight. I'm going to Rick Jackson and Burt Jones. Right? Rick Jackson and Burt Jones. Now, yesterday, I showed you Burt Jones is fighting back. He's pushing back against Rick Jackson. And Rick Jackson will have to answer some questions concerning his company. He will have to answer some questions, about some of the profits, some of the associations his company had with different clinics across the country. He will end up probably have to answer these questions sooner or later for the voters. Rick Jackson sues Burt Jones for defamation amid heated governor race. So we brought this to you yesterday, right? And Burt Jones put out a website, slickrick.com. And here, the warning shot. Sometimes a lawsuit is more than a lawsuit. Sometimes it's a campaign attack. Republican Rick Jackson filed a defamation suit against Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones that appears aimed as much at grabbing attention and sending a warning shot to his GOP rival for governor as it is winning in court. You could tell by the opening lines, and I brought this to you yesterday, rather than standing on his record, fighting like an honest man, and earning the trust and support of Georgians, Burt Jones is resorting to what he knows best, cheap and dirty tricks. So, the lawsuit targets several recent statements by Jones that Jackson's team called defamatory and knowingly false, but it also sends a clear warning: keep up the attacks and risk getting dragged into court. So it looks like we have a possibility of our governor's race being played out in court. Wow, interesting. Now, so yesterday we brought you this. This is a website, Meet the Real Rick Jackson, the Real Rick Jackson, slickrickjackson.com, and the unborn, abortion. So Burt Jones's campaign has put out a blistering ad, and this is all for the base. Every bit of this is to get the attention of the base. And we'll play that for you now. We'll play it for you right now. Let me get it together here. Burt Jones campaign against Rick Jackson.
Billionaire Rick Jackson loves bragging about being filthy rich, but Jackson never says where his money came from. According to Breitbart News, Jackson profited off helping staff Planned Parenthood, America's largest abortion provider. Breitbart reported Jackson's company recruits for Planned Parenthood, who recently bragged abortions are at an all-time high. Next time you see a TV ad by billionaire Rick Jackson, remember all the unborn children who paid for it. Billionaire Rick Jackson loves bragging about being filthy rich, but Jackson never says where his money came from. According to Breitbart News, Jackson profited off helping staff Planned Parenthood, America's largest abortion provider. Breitbart reported Jackson's company recruits for Planned Parenthood, who recently bragged abortions are at an all-time high. Next time you see a TV ad by billionaire Rick Jackson, remember all the unborn children who paid for it. Billionaire.
All right, so obviously this has really upset. This has really upset the Rick Jackson and the campaign. Rick Jackson immediately put this out, and I've supported pro-life candidates and groups for years. Every life is precious. I will always fight to protect the unborn, Rick Jackson. All right. And then in response to that ad, his campaign put out right here. Trying to get it up here for you. These attacks from Burt Jones are worse than lies. They are the opposite of the truth. Rick Jackson is the strongest champion for life in Georgia. He has given millions to nearly half a dozen Georgia-based crisis pregnancy centers whose mission is to help mothers choose life instead of abortions. He founded Faith Bridge, the largest Christ-centered adoption agency in the state, and he is the largest investor in Everlife, the only explicitly pro-life baby products company in America. Burt Jones is lying because he's losing badly, and then he popped out a poll that says that Jackson is winning. So, now let me say this, okay? I'm pro-life. Got it? I'm pro-life. I supported the heartbeat bill. If and when any conversation comes up about Brian Kemp, the positive side that I will make a comment where Brian Kemp, the governor, is concerned is he signed the heartbeat bill. Roe v. Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court. No one would ever, I would never believe in my lifetime that Donald Trump would end up being the pro-life president that would put 3 Supreme Court justices. I know we don't like the ruling they had on the tariffs. I got it. And on that day, we wanted to get rid of Amy Coney Barrett, and we don't like Neil Gorsuch. I get it. All right. But Donald Trump put Amy Coney Barrett, Neil Gorsuch, and Brett Kavanaugh on the court, and along with Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito, Roe v. Wade was overturned in this country. That's where I'm at. But, are these two candidates going to go down the pro-life battle and leave the lane for, I know Democrats come up with affordability. Affordability wasn't a problem when Biden was in there, but Democrats have come up with that. Are Republicans going to take this lane right here, and this is the battle for the next 2 months, and leave that center lane for a layup on Democrats? I'm just wondering, is this the issue that should be, moving the needle on the governor's race right now? But anyhow, Jackson will have to answer for this. He will have to, and Burt Jones is putting it out there. He's putting it out there that says Jackson's company supported recruiting abortionists for Planned Parenthood. I mean, that's in the ad. So here is one of the things that may really, really be upsetting the Burt Jones campaign is how close Rick Jackson is trying to get to Donald Trump. This is obviously really upsetting the Burt Jones campaign. So, Iran war, okay? The Iran war evaluates Marco Rubio in Trump's 2028 succession jockeying. Trump has been informally polling the circle of friends and advisors about the 2028 election, which could pit some of the top administration officials against each other. So, in February 28th, we're at March 10th, just a couple weeks ago, with a group of, listen to this, with a group of roughly 25 GOP donors, including New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft and billionaire Georgia gubernatorial candidate Rick Jackson. They were at Mar-a-Lago together. Trump asked the room whom they would prefer he support for president in 2028. Attendees overwhelmingly indicated Secretary of State Marco Rubio, through their cheering, according to two people who were at the event. It was almost unanimous for Marco, said the person in attendance, who, like others in this article, were granted anonymity to speak candidly. But this paragraph in here was on February 28th, I think, the end of the month, at Mar-a-Lago, Rick Jackson was in the room with Trump. It doesn't state whether Burt Jones was there. So I think the Jackson campaign is very upset of how close that Rick Jackson is getting to Donald Trump. So there are some ads that have been put out. Now, Jackson has put out another ad. We'll play his ad. We'll play his ad, and this is, well, I'll give you my opinion of it after we run the ad.
I don't care if you're Muslim or Mongolian. You don't have the right to force your culture on our country.
Conservative Rick Jackson.
Too often, criminal illegals commit sick, violent crimes, victimize our children, and get away with murder. So here's my guarantee to them. Do that when I'm governor, and you'll end up deported or departed.
Rick Jackson for Georgia.
Any questions?
So here's what's happening, okay? Here's what's happening. Rick Jackson has a team, and that team is polling issues on the hard right. They are polling issues on the hard right and looking for where they want to be and trying to go after Burt Jones' base. Now, let me say this. Some of you out there might say, well, that's where the win, getting on the ballot. When I want you to keep something in mind. When Rick Jackson announced he was running for office, the very next day, remember this? The very next day, they ran the Brad Raffensperger, right, ad, where the little kid said, "Mommy, why did you name me Brad?" Remember that? The very next day, they ran that ad. And it stopped. Now, I'm not going to say it's not still on their website, or maybe on their X account and you can find it. But if you notice, that direction ended right then. On day one, they took that direction and stopped. Right? And that was to get everybody's attention immediately on the base, because there's different lanes. Always remember that. In the Republican Party, there are different lanes. And if you want my attention immediately, and I feel the 2020 election was stolen, and I feel the Dominion voting machines should be gone, and all the above that goes with that since 2020 election, that ad about Brad Raffensperger brought me right in to gravitate to say, who is this guy? So it's been very good marketing. If someone called me yesterday that knows Rick Jackson, they know Rick Jackson for years, and they say, this is a good man. And I've yet to come on here and tell you he's not a good man. But marketing is marketing. And you know, he wanted to bring you in, and that campaign did just like that with that Brad Raffensperger ad. Now, if you notice the takedown, now obviously maybe he doesn't feel to get on the ballot, he has to go after Brad Raffensperger. But what if he's in a runoff with Brad Raffensperger, not Burt Jones? I don't know. We'll just throw it out there. Just keep that in mind. His MO is totally and completely to take Burt Jones down. So, with that being said, I'm going to tell you this. I said this yesterday, right? I said this yesterday. I will recap it briefly. Someone said, okay, if it's not Rick Jackson, who is it? So I said, okay, let's run with the scenario. Let's run with 2020 was stolen election. Let's just go with that, okay? So we're gonna say 2020 was a stolen election. All right, that's the basis of our story. Now, the guy in the glasses and gray hair, well, he used to have gray hair. Until Brad Raffensperger, like, he hit those brown loafers with a pass, and then he, just saying, that shoe polish. But anyhow, so the guy with the gray hair with the glasses, some out there in Georgia discussing our crime, feel he's the one that committed the crime. Okay, that's how you feel. Second, the guy that is, a candidate for Hair Club for Men over there, he's the guy that people say look the other way and didn't make an effort to catch the criminal knowing there's a crime. These are your options. And then the guy in the middle has had a lot of time to do something about making sure the crime never happens again. Those are your three options. Without Burt, you got Clark Dean. I'm going to get some people say, you have Clark Dean, but he's not putting the money into the race. He's not building his name recognition strong enough. He's not a bad guy, but Clark Dean's in the race. And Ken Yasgur, is that his name? He's a great guy. There's others. But the governor's race, who will be standing, and I mean that literally, when this is done and over. Okay? So let's go right here. Remember, we're always told to vote red. I want to ask this question. I want somebody that has the nerve. Could somebody have the nerve to ask Greg Dolezal what this means. And I don't say it jokingly. I'm very serious. Could somebody have the nerve to ask Greg Dolezal what is with the bunny ears, right? State Representative Roa, is that her name? Roman? You see the pink bag right there? She went up to Greg and gave him that gift, and inside that gift is a pair of bunny ears. I do not know what's with that right there. Why did she give him a pair of bunny ears? Now, SB 568, continuing to be a hot subject. We told you this yesterday. If you look at the screen, 1, 2, 3, 4 Republicans were excused, had left the building before SB 568 came on the floor at 10:30 at night. We've asked the question why. And keep in mind, paper ballot bill does not make crossover. And I've been wondering two parts of Greg, the Wonder Boy, bunny-eared weasel, Dolezal. I've been thinking two parts. Why now? Why this year his interest in election integrity much stronger than before? Because he's running for office? Or because he's running for office? Did you get that? I'll give it to you in a minute. Is he concerned about the machines? Because Greg has never been on a statewide ballot. Were the machines okay when he was running in his state Senate district that he had pretty much sewed up? Right? Was it okay then? And now that he's running in a statewide race? So I asked this question because we're not going to spend a lot of time on this. I have a meeting to go to tonight. He came out and he said, federal cybersecurity officials identified 9 security vulnerabilities in Dominion voting machines used in Georgia. State officials have known about this for years and no updates. Now we're headed into another election season. I'm going to put this little in parentheses. Now that I'm on the ballot, like nothing happened. That's not secure. It's reckless. Now that I'm on the ballot. Yes. When I was only running for my state Senate seat that I had a lock, right? But now that I'm on the ballot, this is reckless. Now I'm on the ballot. We got to do something about it. So my question, how come Burt Jones and Greg Dolezal did not decertify these machines for the past several years? I really just want to know why they haven't decertified these machines in the past several years. Okay, we got to keep up with the budget. There's a lot spinning around about the budget. We have to keep up with that. You want to ask your state. It's time you go to your state house rep. Ask your state house rep about SB 214 paper ballots over in the House. And what are they going to do about SB 189? Are they going to put something on the governor's desk that moves it out a year, the QR code, or are they going to do something about it? All right, folks. Tonight, very interesting, right? Very interesting what takes place tonight. Who will be 1 and 2 over in the 14th? Who will be 1 and 2 and the 14th. Where does that leave Donald Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tom Massey, Burt Jones, the midterms? What will be the spin after about 10 o'clock tonight? All right, everything's on there. You can find our Rumble, our Facebook, our X, our YouTube, voiceofruralamerica.com. You can always text me, my phone number there. You can email me, bkp@bkppolitics.com, and our Substack, Vora, V-O-R-A, at BKP Politics. Until we meet again. Right, until we meet again.
What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see. When the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host, BKP.